In the 3rd century BC, two giants of the ancient world were about to go head-to-head, and this showdown would totally change the game in the Mediterranean. The Roman Republic, a rising land power fresh from unifying Italy, faced off against the mighty Carthaginian Empire, a naval superpower built on trade and maritime dominance. Their inevitable collision would ignite a conflict of unprecedented scale, setting the stage for a war that would define the course of Western civilization. The spark that would ignite this powder keg came not from a grand declaration of war, but from a crisis in the Sicilian city of Messina. A group of mercenaries, the Mamertines, had seized control of this strategic port. Threatened by the nearby city-state of Syracuse, they made a fateful decision to appeal for aid from both Rome and Carthage. The Carthaginians, arriving first, occupied Messana, but the Mamertines, fearing Carthaginian control, secretly reached out to Rome for intervention. Rome, unwilling to allow a Carthaginian foothold so close to Italian shores, dispatched an army across the narrow Strait of Messina. This bold move was seen as a direct challenge to Carthaginian influence. The Romans swiftly secured an alliance with Syracuse, led by King Hiero II, isolating the Carthaginian forces on the island. What began as a local dispute had now escalated into a clash of superpowers, with Sicily as the prize. The early years of the war proved disastrous for Rome. Carthage's powerful navy ruled the waves, making it impossible for Rome to supply its armies in Sicily or challenge Carthaginian dominance at sea. The Romans quickly realized that to win this war, they would have to confront Carthage on its own element, the open ocean, in an astonishing feat of engineering and determination. Rome embarked on a naval gamble that would change the course of the war. In just 2 months, they constructed an entire fleet of 120 warships. But Rome knew its hastily trained sailors were no match for Carthage's experienced mariners. Their solution was the corvus, a massive boarding bridge with a heavy spike. This brilliant innovation transformed naval battles into land engagements, a contest where Roman legionaries excelled. The corvus would prove its worth at the Battle of Mylae in 260 BC as the fleets clashed. Roman ships slammed their boarding bridges onto Carthaginian vessels, allowing their soldiers to stream across and overwhelm the enemy. This stunning victory proved that Rome could challenge Carthage at sea, shifting the balance of power in the Mediterranean. 4 years later, the Battle of Agnomus would showcase the sheer scale of this naval conflict. Over 300,000 men clashed in one of the largest sea battles in history. The Roman fleet, employing a clever sea serpent formation, scored another decisive victory. Emboldened by their success, Rome made the audacious decision to invade Carthage's African homeland. But the tides of war are fickle, and Rome's fortunes were about to take a dramatic turn. The African invasion, initially successful, soon met disaster. Under the command of the Spartan mercenary Xanthippus, Carthaginian forces bolstered by war elephants subtly destroyed the Roman army. To compound this catastrophe, a massive storm annihilated a follow-up Roman fleet, costing Rome over 300 ships and thousands of lives. The war now devolved into a brutal struggle of attrition. For the next decade, both sides found themselves locked in a bloody stalemate on the Sicilian front. Rome's seemingly inexhaustible manpower allowed it to rebuild fleets time and again, even as storms continued to ravage their naval forces. Carthage, meanwhile, found itself increasingly on the defensive. Amidst this grueling deadlock, a new Carthaginian commander emerged who would leave an indelible mark on history. Hamilcar Barca, the Lion of Carthage, became a master of guerrilla warfare, holding the last Carthaginian strongholds in Sicily against overwhelming Roman forces. His daring raids along the Italian coast kept the Romans constantly on edge, prolonging the conflict and sapping Roman morale. By 241 BC, after more than 2 decades of relentless warfare, both Rome and Carthage teetered on the brink of financial collapse. It was in this moment of mutual exhaustion that Rome made one final, desperate gambit. Through private donations, they constructed one last fleet under the command of Gaius Lutatius Catulus. This force moved to blockade Carthage's remaining strongholds in Sicily, cutting off vital supply lines. Carthage, compelled to resupply its beleaguered forces, dispatched its own fleet. This set the stage for the climactic Battle of the Aegates Islands. The Roman ships, lighter and more maneuverable, outclassed the Carthaginian vessels burdened with supplies. The result was a crushing Roman victory that shattered Carthaginian naval power once and for all. With their supply lines severed and their last fleet destroyed, Carthage had no choice but to sue for peace. The Treaty of Lutatius brought an end to the First Punic War, forcing Carthage to pay a massive indemnity and surrender all of its territory in Sicily. This crushing defeat marked a seismic shift in the balance of power in the Western Mediterranean. Rome emerged from the conflict transformed. No longer merely a regional Italian power, it now stood as the dominant naval force in the Western Mediterranean. The acquisition of Sicily, soon followed by Sardinia and Corsica, laid the foundation for Rome's expansion into a true maritime empire. But the peace secured by the Treaty of Lutatius was fragile at best. The humiliation and economic devastation suffered by Carthage sowed the seeds of resentment and a desire for revenge. As Rome basked in its newfound power and Carthage nursed its wounds, the stage was set for an even more devastating conflict that would shake the ancient world to its core. The First Punic War had ended, but its consequences would echo through history. The Roman eagle now spread its wings over the Mediterranean, while the wounded Carthaginian elephant nursed its grudges. As the dust settled on this epic struggle, both sides knew that this was not the end, but merely the opening act in a drama that would define the ancient world for generations to come.